Very hope within the next week or so. One thing I do want to announce one final thing. To their credit, my faith, the Catholic Church, they did the right thing. And they're going to have to do the right thing on a lot of things because they're under, as you know, the microscope too, and rightly so. America Magazine this week, one of the top Catholic magazines, rescinded their endorsement of Kavanaugh. They said, no, we cannot go with that. So the Catholic Church now has weighed in. Don't want the guy. Get him out of there. Kavanaugh's a Catholic. But in this case, he's not a Catholic. We don't want him. They don't want him. The church doesn't want him. The magazine, which is an official organ of the Catholic Church, said no. And I got to give it to you, hands off there. One thing this week, a good friend of mine, Dennis, over at the Urban Ballroom, our great group, the Urban Ballroom Dancers, we do this every week, and of course we teach the class. Over in West LA, we got to have a little wind down every now and then. Oliver, everything can't be, serious. We do urban ballroom dancing, by the way, every week. We have a class over at West LA College Thursday nights at 6:30. We invite everybody to come out, have fun, a barrel of laughs, big fun. It's a party. You learn how to do some of the dance moves, and then boom, a lot of freestyle dancing. West LA College on Thursday nights. Give West Side Extension at West LA College a call and get more information about it. It's 5 sessions, and we roll back again in October and November. Dennis, Breast Cancer Awareness Month Day, which should be every day, 365 days a year, a leap year, 366. They're having a big charity event today at 5930 Franklin Avenue, that's LA 90028, at the Celebrity Center. Kicks off at 11 o'clock again. Breast Cancer Awareness. Big charity event today. A lot of fun. A lot of individuals that'll be there. We'll be talking about it. A lot of food, a lot of gay time. Really a gay time to be had by all. That's 5930 Franklin Avenue in Hollywood. Kicks off at 11 a.m. The Celebrity Center. All right, Rick, are you prepared with something? All right, Fernando, we're going. Okay, you know the deal. You know the drill by now. Welcome to our Hutchinson Report Facebook live stream. We'll thank you in a few minutes. Women speak out. I want to hear from women especially. Not discriminating against the guys, but I want to hear from women. We're talking about Cosby, Kavanaugh, and the rape crisis in America. Give me your thoughts about that, particularly if there's been an experience there that you have had. Again, you don't have to give your name, but your sense about that, your feeling about that, and what could be and should be done. So again, don't wait on this one. Very important. We got about 35 minutes here, so basically you've got the floor. Max, Bunny, Shamika, Gordon, Rose, our cousin. You saw that. Rose Hutchinson. Willow, Reginald Brown, Daryl Cobbs. Identify where you will be identified. Let me know where you're watching from. We're always interested in what city, what town, what state, what country, what planet, because we like to think we go global with this. And also, observations, comments, criticisms, talk to each other, dialogue with each other. This is a monumental issue. It's a colossal issue. One, unfortunately, has been ignored far too often. Here's your chance. All right, welcome back to the Hutchinson Report Town Hall, the air. Oliver, I like what you're doing. Male. I'd like to hear from women. We're talking about Cosby, Kavanaugh, and the rape crisis, sexual victimization, sexual abuse, sexual harassment, and especially rape. Something that's swept under the rug, that's hush-hush, oftentimes ducked, dodged, denied. I'd like to hear from you, your thoughts about that, your comments about that, your observations about that, and painfully so, an experience, if there is one. 818-985-5735, 818-985-KPFK. The town hall is now officially open. You hear Oliver and Rick and Fernando, a big sigh. Did you hear that sigh? There's a sigh for a reason. I'm not just dead air sigh. It's not that just I ran out of steam, although that might happen too. I'm sighing for a reason because I'm going to set the tone for our conversation over the next 35 minutes with a personal experience. Some years ago, a very close female relative came to me, well, didn't come to me. So one day, she had just enrolled at a major college in the area. So one day at the house, I happened to see a scar, actually two scars on her face. I didn't think anything about it now. This was back in the 80s. Didn't think anything about it at the time. But then I looked a little closer and I said, those scars, what happened? Very reluctant to talk about it. This person is a teenage girl. But I persisted and finally got it out. What happened was at UCL, at the college, the first year in the dorms, basically she was attacked by someone that she thought was a friend. And at the time, my first reaction, a man, and this is what guys have to, it's a problem and a barrier when you're talking about the issue of sexual victimization and rape or an attack. That's what it is. And my first thought was, remember, this is of another time and another place and a man. You know, did this really happen? I mean, did it really happen? I mean, is somebody making this up? But I probed a little bit more. As the tears flowed from this individual, I knew this is serious. This is real. This was my first awakening, listening to a woman, and this attack really had no frame of reference as a man, particularly in that time and that place. So what I did was, and it got even worse, the person was continuing to stalk, coming to the campus, and sitting in that person's classroom. I said, here's what we're going to do. I went out to, I said, I'm going to be out there. I know the time of your class. I will be there. I went out to the campus. You know, the rage in me was so great at that point, but I had to control it. Don't get mad, get smart. I mean, it's always been a mantra of mine. Got in the car, drove out to the college campus, went over to the campus police department. I had 2 campus police officers in tow. We marched over to the classroom, and where this particular individual was, sure enough, he was there in the classroom, you know, kind of like the old stalking thing, well, you know, that movie. But anyway, he was there. We surrounded him. The police officers, myself, confronted him. I got the first shock of my life, well, the first of 2 shocks. The first one was, we can't arrest him because he broke no law. I said, what? Can't arrest him, broke no law? No. They escorted him out of there and off the campus. But then they told me, what you have to do is you have to go over and get a restraining order. If you get a restraining order at that point, then we can make an arrest if he violates that. I said, wait a minute, what about the assault in the dorm? Well, there was no witnesses. So this set off a bell and a whistle. A great light bulb went off in my head. Can't make an arrest, can't take any action, can't, despite the victimization, the assault, a violent assault, can't do anything. Again, no witnesses. In other words, the classic, he said, she said, who's to believe who? What are you going to do? And in the era, there's nobody's videotaping anything. There's no cell phones. There's no cams. There's no documentary evidence of anything. I said, son of a gun. Can't believe this. That was the first eye-opener about that. So as this evolved, and when women say, I was raped, I was violated, I was assaulted, and men routinely, like me, my first reaction in that time and that place, is this real? I mean, prove it. The burden of proof on the woman. What are you going to do? I mean, how many have, broad daylight on Main Street with 25 witnesses around? It doesn't work that way. And then, of course, the disbelief, the ducking, dodging, blind eye, obfuscation, turn the other cheek. And we saw that with Kavanaugh. How dare you? I didn't do anything like that. You can't prove it. It's her word against mine. You see the problem. You see the problem. It's a devastating problem. You see the old geriatric Smithsonian white guys on the Senate Judiciary Committee beating up on the woman. you see the thing. In 2018, what's changed? The burden of proof is on you. You see Kavanaugh saying she's a liar and wanted to say a few other things in his drunken state, still look like a drunk. Can you imagine this guy? If he looked like that when he's sober, what the heck does he look like when he's drunk? We know he's a drunkard. We know that. So all of these things taken together, today we have to deal with it on the Hutchinson Report. 818-985-5735, 818-985-KPFK, the rape crisis in America. Cosby, Kavanaugh. Rick, do you have that queued up one more time?
I tried to yell for help. When I did, Brett put his hand over my mouth to stop me from yelling. This is what terrified me the most and has had the most lasting impact on my life. It was hard for me to breathe. 5 seconds. That Brett was accidentally going to kill me.
Let's go to line one. The one man that I'm going to make an exception for today, the man that I take my hat off to, he was the one you heard the clip right in the beginning, challenging Senator Jeff Flake, his senator in Arizona. Do the right thing, Jeff. Do the right thing. He's also the president of my organization, the LA Urban Policy Roundtable, our Phoenix chapter. Pedro Baez, you got a minute or so because we got a lineup of calls jam-packed. Go ahead.
Absolutely. Well, thank you very much, Earl, and good morning, everyone. Earl, to say it's been a tumultuous week is making it an understatement because it was more than a tumultuous week. If anything, what you saw there, and for anybody who's never been in a courtroom, what you saw is what a woman has to go through. One time I was in a courtroom on a tax matter. Not it was my tax matter. I was representing the State Board of Equalization. And prior to our case being called, there was a pretrial going on with a rape victim. And let me just say this, Earl. Women do not want to come forward because they are forced to relive the event. And not only to relive the event, but the guy who is supposedly representing the people, the person who is there to literally convict the perpetrator, was making the victim feel like she was on trial because he kept saying, yeah, and then what happened? And then what happened? In other words, he wanted her to relive the whole thing so that the people could hear what was actually going on and what actually happened. But she started to cry, and I'm telling you, I couldn't believe this. This is why women do not want to come forward, because they have to relive it. And they relive it in such a way that it is horrible, just horrible, what they have to go through. I mean, because women are made to feel like they were the ones responsible for perpetuating the crime. Not the guy who attacked him, but they, just by being there. That's the whole thing. But, Earl, I want to just say one thing in conclusion. We reached out to Debbie Ramirez and Julie Swetnick, along with Dr. Ford, through their attorneys. And they may not call in, but I know they're listening. And I know that Anita Hill is listening because I reached out to her last night, as I'm sure you know. We reached out to her, and hopefully, maybe she may call in. This is something that needs to be discussed, and I'm so glad that you're doing it because you are definitely the point man. So, Earl, with that, I say take care. I'll be listening on my computer, and everyone who's out there, who's ever been a victim, may God bless you.
All right. All right, that was Pedro Baez. He's our president in the Phoenix area of the Phoenix chapter of the LA Urban Policy Roundtable. He was the first in the door with Jeff Flake. Got on the line instantly, called Flake, challenged him, along with the two women that challenged him in the elevator, and said, hey, Senator, hey, wake up. It's a new day in America. You can't go in there and routinely say yes on this guy. You can't do that. You have nothing to lose. You're not running again for anything. You're out. So at this point in time, do the right thing. Have a little conscience. You know, I know that's a foreign term to the GOP. I know it's an oxymoron to them. But, you know, just once in your life, do the right thing. All right. Jeannie of Beverly Hills. Go right ahead. Jeannie?
Yes, I am.
Jeannie, got to turn the radio down. Got to turn it down and turn it off.
I'll turn it right off. Yes. Hi.
Go right ahead.
I'm 85 years old. I was brought up in a time when it was routine for men to assault women. You grew up with it. You didn't know it was any different than that ever. They would grab you by the butt. They would try to grab your breast. They would make obscene comments. It was something that women expected. To talk about confirmation in terms of whether it's true or not, rape is done in private. There are no other people there. In this case, there was somebody. But most of the time, it's not. What are you supposed to do to confirm this? What are you supposed to confirm that you have been assaulted? Women have come not very far because it is still this man's world where men want to conquer women, and they do it in every way. They put them down about whatever they think. They want to have the power. That's what it's all about. They want the power. And I feel that if this does not turn the way it should, to have it be that there has to be proof. What kind of proof do you want? You cannot have proof. Either the person is a credible person, and this Mrs. Ford was obviously a very credible person. When Kavanaugh came on with his screaming, his yelling, an hour, I did think of Shakespeare. You do protest
Too much. I love that. That's a great line. All right, Jeannie, thanks again. I couldn't have said it any better. I appreciate that. Thanks again for calling in. You know, here's the thing, Oliver, Rick, and Fanon. We heard Trump say several times, well, why didn't she report it to the police? He said that several times. Here's the deal. You're damned if you do, damned if you don't. And Jeannie really hit the nail on the head. They scream at women when they say, I was raped, I was assaulted, I was victimized, but you didn't report it to the police. Well, some women do report it to the police. Many women report it to the police. And then they turn around and say, you're lying. You report it to the police dutifully, like they tell you to do. And then you report it, and then they dismiss it, say you're lying. You're damned if you do, damned if you don't. I'll be damned. Absolutely amazing. Can't win. Arlene, Huntington Beach, I think. Arlene, go right ahead.
Hi, Dr. Hutchinson. I just wanted to say I can totally relate to Dr. Ford. I was abused. I'm a survivor of childhood sexual abuse by a biological father. I can remember from age 3 to age 16. And I was 25 years old before I could finally get the words out of my mouth and tell somebody that this happened to me. And so you just hold these things in so I can understand why she took so long. And then when you do tell people, they don't believe you. My family totally just betrayed me. They don't want to talk about it. I have a brother that says, who won't talk to me about it. I'm on 65, he's 70, he won't talk to me about it. And he's like, I don't want to know. Well, you know, he needs to know. I'm his sister. And my family, I have been ostracized by my family. They don't believe it. They look at me like I'm lying, and they think that my dad was this great, wonderful person. Well, they're looking at evil because he wasn't a great, wonderful person.
Well, yeah, Arlene, yeah, and you know what? And you know, I appreciate sharing that experience with not only me but our audience out there, because as Pedro said, we have a lot of people that are listening, and not only that, we have attorneys that are listening. We have a lot of women in terms of the organizations that are listening. We did reach out to all of the principals involved in the Kavanaugh hearing, so they're all listening. So everything that's being said, that's why we encourage. Call in on the Hutchinson Report. Give your experience, give your comments, your observations, your thoughts, and also what you think could be done about that. Because you're not just talking to yourself in a vacuum, in a bubble. We got a lot of people in high places that do listen, and believe it or not, do take action. Anything else, Arlene? A final thought?
Well, I just have two things to say. I think that, number one, the statute of limitations should be lifted on sexual abuse because children that when they become adults, they're not able to speak out until they're adults. They're too afraid as a child. They're terrified, and I think that the term for the Chief Justice, it should be just like 4 years or 8. It shouldn't be a lifetime because, like you said, they got these people on there that are so old and they need to go. Yeah. And that's my final say.
All right, and I think very well put. Thanks again, Arlene. And you know what? That's the other thing, too. She said something there about disbelief. Remember, now I'm going back to my experience when it was an eye-opener for me as a man. When this teenage relative of mine reported to me, female, 16 at the time, what happened to her, my first thought, that's right, this is confessional time. My first thought was, now, this really happened. Yeah, because see how that conditioning, you're conditioned to think that. And this was some years ago. And I mean, you can imagine then with men, boom, this is the way things are. This is the way things happen. Well, I guess they are thinking. Because men are the victim, we're the ones doing it. So of course. But at the same time, it was revelatory. It was transformative. Even then, it took several years, many years for me to still finally get it. And I got to tell you this, based on what I saw with this sham of a hearing, this farce with Kavanaugh, based on that, I'm still not sure men get it. I'll repeat that. I'm still not sure men get it. Jane Burbank. Jane, go right ahead.
That whole event was a disgrace, absolute disgrace. Usually a judge would step down discretion. He's too controversial and would just step aside and recuse himself. But the other thing is, I don't agree with you. I want to also mention something else before I finish this, but I don't really have the certainty that Trump won't use the FBI to come out with a similar whitewash or say, there's no proof with the FBI. I fear that because he's too readily agreed. He always has a quid pro quo in the pocket. The other thing is, I have to say, back some years ago, I was brutally sexually attacked, and there were two witnesses. There was a woman and there was another guy. And I am so lucky to even be able to have survived this attack. The person who attacked me was very well known. His father owned an NFL franchise. And I will just tell you that it changed my whole view of life. It actually altered my feelings as to my own safety and to who I could trust. So, and the other thing I'd also like to say, this thing is so political, so partisan, I really fear that Mitch McConnell is going to push this guy Kavanaugh forward. Kavanaugh is inappropriate. He doesn't have a tone. Did you notice how he went after the two women on the panel? I fear he will use his position if he continues even on the appellate court. He will use it against women, and I wouldn't be surprised if women people came forward who aren't quite Republican enough or wealthy enough. And I haven't read enough of his rulings, but I've read enough to know and to see what he did in the White House under Bush. We are also forgetting his history, how he stole the emails, how he has been dishonest, how he has been consistently unethical. He was like he's one of these dirty players like a Lee Atwater, like Rove. He was very close with Karl Rove. I mean, we can't just look at the rape. This is a context. This guy is just across the board should not be on there.
All right, Jane. Thanks again. We appreciate that. No, he will not be confirmed. No, he will not be. And I hear what you're saying, that the GOP is going to go to the barricades for this guy. They want him and all of that. It's not going to work, and I'll tell you why. A year ago, I would agree with you. He would have been confirmed, done deal, no problem, let's move on. You scream and yell about it, the left and progressives. Not going to happen. I think what people are missing here when they keep saying that McConnell has all this power, the GOP has all this power, like they're godlike, they're missing something. Something is, there's been a change. There's been a change. There's a sea change in America. The old geriatric, beat up, guys that have been sitting there for 1,000,000 years, they're not going to change. They don't get it because they're used to doing things in their way. But there's been a sea change in terms of thinking out there. I just told you my experience. I'm not alone. There are many other people that get it. You've got a power. Let me give you an example. Cosby. If you had said 2 years ago Cosby would be marched away in handcuffs, going to serve a maximum sentence in a prison. People that said you're crazy. Cosby, he's a god. Don't you see things are changing? Stop thinking about the old. Start thinking about the new. Yes, you can make a change. This guy is not going to be confirmed. Remember who said that. And if by some miracle he is, they get him through, I got to tell you, the GOP as a party, as a national party, is finished. Which, by the way, not a bad thing. Let's get one more call before we take a break. Who's been waiting the longest? Where are we? I'm trying to remember, in line with what we do today, we're taking women first. Jacqueline from, I'm not sure where. Jacqueline, go right ahead.
Yes, I'm a childhood victim from my brother, uncle, and then later on when I was older. And you hold it because you know they're so sneaky. You don't even
sneaky,
and they kit you with mixed feelings. So you want to protect them, and you don't even really know how to put words to it. And then when you finally do speak out, then people tell you it's too much information because they can't deal with it. And then they start marginalizing you and making you like you're the culprit or the bad person. It's a really hard thing to deal with, and I'm really glad that the time is right for people to start speaking up because this is really hard. I've been in therapy all my life, but I've grown a lot, and I understand the dynamics, but it's really important for people to understand that it's hard for people to hear it because they feel like I think other people think that they're ashamed, and you know how like they kill people that if you get in another country, how you as a woman gets, it's like bringing shame on the family kind of thing.
Yeah.
So it might be a kind of a blessing in disguise for him to be up for women to really start speaking up. And, I believe her, and they do it in silence. They're sneaky.
Yeah.
They're not going to sit up there and do it when there can be seen, where there's going to be a witness.
Yeah. Well, Jacqueline, and thanks. I appreciate you're sharing that experience with us, and that's important. And I'm going to piggyback on that for 1 second. Thanks again, Jacqueline. I think I don't think that we can emphasize enough, stress enough. It's done in the dark. It's done in silence. It's not going to be lights, action, camera. I'm getting ready to rape someone. It doesn't work that way. It's done in the dark. She said sneaky, and that's what it is. It's sneaky, but it's done by design. I don't want a witness. There can't be a witness. I got to get away with this. Who would want to telegraph this and promote this and live? You're on candid camera. It doesn't work that way. And so the fact of the matter is that's how you get away with it. Guys get away with it because I didn't do it, Kavanaugh. I was a choir boy. What did he say? I'm a choir boy. I'm a virgin. I was sitting there studying my Catholic text. I was going to class. I was doing all the things. I didn't take a drink. Well, I might take a little wine here and there, beer. I'm doing all of these things right. You can't prove it. He said, she said, and you know when there's a she, there ain't no she. It's always he. Let me get who do we have, Oliver? We've got so many. Let me get Janine from West Hollywood. Janine, go right ahead. Janine.
Thank you very much. Hi, thank you very much. One thing I've been dismayed with listening to mainstream news in the previous days is how much generalizing goes on about this. And one thing I want to say is most men are good men. Most young men, high school, college, older, married, whatever, are good men and are not doing this. So guys don't need to get defensive about, feminists are trying to curtail the way men are or boys are. No, most men don't do this.
Right.
They have consensual sex. They have girlfriends, or they have...
And Janine, let me just say one other thing, and I'll let you continue, but just one thing I got to think of it. I don't have a young mind like you. I got to say what I'm thinking while I'm thinking before I forget it. Kavanaugh, when you said most men are decent, they're not going to go out and rape and abuse and all of that and victimize, which is absolutely true. But we did see one thing with Kavanaugh. The ability to move out of it because one, well, there happened to be a witness here, and they're trying to get him marked judge. But seemingly, other than he and she, there's no one. Then the other thing that we have to think about with him, if you, in fact, are the squeaky clean choir boy, good Catholic, studying, a virgin, all the things that you said you are, why wouldn't you want an FBI investigation? I would think why would you want to take a polygraph test? I would think if you haven't done anything, you're squeaky clean, and she's just a congenital liar about you, out to as part of a Democratic Party conspiracy to bring me down. I would think you'd want the FBI to come in. I would think you would want to take the lie detector test. If you're a good guy, I would think you'd want that. I want my name cleared. I'm just wondering, what do you got to hide? But go ahead, Janine.
Yes, I totally agree. And I think most men have nothing to worry about, nothing to be defensive about. We just need to stop the silence, to stop the hush-hush that women can't talk about this problem that happens to many, many women and girls. We need to take away the hush-hush nature of this. It's a felony. It's a crime. This man should be in prison.
There you go.
So it's just most men are not doing this. So they need to not be defensive, and pundits on TV need to not be defensive about the state of manhood or BS. It's just we need to report, immediately go to the police with any sexual assault, any rape, talk to your daughters, talk to girls and young boys, any sexual assault, go immediately to the police, get that guy arrested, get witnesses, get evidence and rape kits. It's just the silence about this topic needs to stop.
Well, Janine, I got to tell you,
it's a small percentage of men that are doing this, that are sick and twisted about the way they think about girls.
Let me stop you here because we're running up against the clock, and Janine, you just gave a litany: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 things that should be done and could be done. And here's my guess: guess what? They will be done. Thanks again, Janine. Jillian Ventura. Jillian, go right ahead. Jillian. Going once.
About my own experience, which is that I was never violently attacked or raped, but I certainly was molested and abused in other ways. And this whole thing has really made me remember a lot of that, and it's very traumatic, even for someone who was not violently used. The other thing I want to address is what Jane was saying about she's worried about this FBI thing and worried about how this might not work. I think people are not, I was only aware this morning that there is a court case coming up called Gamble versus the United States that's coming up very soon. And it has to do with the possibility of making it no longer the case that, like, if you're convicted of something in a federal, if you could be pardoned for it in a federal court, then that would not extend to the states. That's the way it is now. They want to change that. And that's the fallback we have if Mueller is fired or that investigation got shut down. The protection we have is that he'll be tried in state courts as well. This case is to try and stop that, and it's coming up very soon.
Well, Chad, why don't we hold that for a minute, Jillian, because that's a whole show there that I'd like to address, and we're going to have a lot of time to do that. And I think it's very important. I want to research that a little bit more. I'm not totally familiar with that, and I want to know more about that because we're going to address that on a future show. But anyway, got to keep moving on that one. Thanks again, Jillian. Let me give Rick, do you have that?
I believed he was going to rape me. I tried to yell for help. When I did, Brett put his hand over my mouth to stop me from yelling. This is what terrified me the most and has had the most lasting impact on my life. It was hard for me to breathe, and I thought that Brett was accidentally going to kill me.
Cindy, Moore Park. Go right ahead, Cindy.
Hi, this is just coming straight from my heart. The call before Jillian just really really touched me, kind of made me break down and kind of cry. But, you know, Revelation just came through that, and all of these things are so true about being proactive. But I really looked online. I found a march on January 19th. It's, you know, it's going to be led by Black women this time. I really just got the revelation that, you know what, our vulnerability is going to be our strength. And I can't imagine what it would be like, what it's going to be like to be a Black woman having to go through what, yes, me too, you know, who hasn't, type of thing. And at the same time deal with all of these social issues. So I stand behind my Black sisters in this, and I really, really feel like this is the time to start, obviously, doing all the things we do with that masculine energy, marching, but also just being vulnerable and going to our groups, our healing groups, art therapy. There's She Poetry, shepoetry.com. There are women groups that are just starting to manifest from the Agape Center, and we're just going to be reading our poetry, doing our art, talking about our pain, but our pain really is going to be our strength. I really feel that.
Cindy, and thanks again. You know, those are good resources, and that's so important. Support, support, support. Women have to have that, and men have to get on board, too, with that support. Thanks again, Cindy. Fanon, do you have somebody to read from our Facebook live stream?
Well, you wanted a woman,
yes.
So I'll read from Judith Thompson. She just simply says, if Dr. Ford is credible, that equals that Kavanaugh is a liar.
All right. Let's get one more call. Adela, I hope that's Adela. L.A.? Adela, go right ahead. Hello?
Hi, how are you doing today?
Very good.
Good morning. I wanted to say, Jacqueline, if you're listening, the caller before, thank you for saying that, and stay strong to all the women out there. This is our moment to be vulnerable, but we have to be, solidarity is the word that I've been thinking about all week, and it's brought up so many emotions for me as well. Just growing up, you know, I wasn't sexually assaulted, like raped or nothing, but like there's been many instances where it could have been taken to that point. My neighbor, which was my mom's really good friend, had kind of like a little molestation, and I was just thinking of all the times that I could have been in danger, or that I was in danger. And it just makes me think of all the women out there right now that are going through this pain and all the stuff, the trauma that's coming up, bubbling up to the surface right now. And we just have to be strong and, you know, educate the people. There's so many women that want to protect Kavanaugh.
Well, I'll tell you what, let me stop you there, Adela, because we're almost out of time. You're right. I got to tell you, that's changed. That ain't going to happen anymore. He's going to be toast on that one, especially from women. Thanks again, Adela. Fanon, final thought on this? And then Oliver, take the mic. Final thought. Very quickly.
No, my only final thought is as a man, we have to listen to women.
No, couldn't have said it any better. Oliver, final thought.
I feel like there's no excuse for these type of actions, and you know, it doesn't really matter what the person in politics is going to do. You know, that person is not exempt from these actions and must be held accountable.
All right, thanks again. Rick, you have a final thought?
I just think everything you said was on point, and I really appreciate it.
Oh, thanks again, Rick. Well, we love you and we appreciate you too. Thanks again, Rick, for doing a great job on the engineering. Oliver, thanks again on the producing and your thoughts. And Fanon, of course, our Facebook live stream. By the way, as we leave the studio, exiting the studio, I'll be thanking a lot of people. We got tons of people to thank on our Facebook live stream. We'll continue for a few minutes afterwards. So it ain't over till it's over. And the fat lady hasn't sung yet. All right, till next week. Hutchinson here, Hutchinson gone. Okay, so, Fanon, we are now leaving the studio. We are walking out. We will take the cord out. Don't forget your phone and your water, and don't forget the pen here as we leave the studio. We're now exiting the KPFK Pacifica Radio studio in North Hollywood, California. I'm getting my book. I'm getting my bag. I'm getting my pen. And I hope Fanon, you got three hands, don't you, Fanon? Do you have, you can't open the door up. You usually have that. We're opening the door as we leave the studio. We're going out into the vestibule. I'm opening the door for Fanon. He's coming right behind me. I'm putting my bag down. And what I'm doing is, before I go any further, Fanon, I think you can disconnect that. I think we got enough juice to go. All right. Fanon, can we do this? Susan, Kathy, Roger. Let's get the light over here. Shed some light on me. I'm not going to take my hat off because, you know, my head. Dwayne, Dehane, Nanette, Derek, Mike, Nicole, Lee, Vernon, EJ, Shirley, Lisa Ollie. Hi, Lisa. Empress. I like that. Judith, Craig, Audrey, Deborah, Carla, Brittany, Evelyn, Opal, Jonathan Mosley. Hey, John, how you doing? Dolores and Victoria, and I'm sure there are others. All right, no, let's get down to business now. Do you have someone you want me to read? Oh,
yeah.
Okay, let me read a few. Okay, we got Rhonda, Leroy. Leroy, that's our. Leroy's part of our breakfast crew every Sunday. You know, over at Michelle's. You know, we cut things up and solve all the world's problems. Rhonda, I'm just going to read women. Thank you for always being relevant. Warm and generous with your topics and time. Thank you, Rhonda. I appreciate that. Keep reading. I'm going to get to the women. Get to the left. That's the bottom. That's it? Nobody. We don't have anybody else?
I got to go back, but to read.
Oh, okay. Well, what are you waiting for? Okay, we got Kenneth. I missed it. I'm at a chiropractor appointment. Hopefully I can catch it on the replay. No, you don't have to, Kenneth, hello. We're archived. Not only on KPFK, but we're also on our Facebook live stream. Fanon is going to put it up live on my Facebook page, the Hutchinson Report, and it will be there in perpetuity. You can watch the show. By the way, I watch the show. You know, I kind of go over it again. Fanon, you're adding it to other groups, correct? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Have you noticed the thousands of people now to the show? Okay. So you can put it on, you can, bless you, you can put it on, what was I saying? Oh, you can put it on, you can turn it on and you can watch it anytime. All right, who else we have? Lanita, thank you. Much needed conversation. Kenneth Reed, cool. You got that, Kenneth. Facebook live stream. Tell others too. Jonathan Mosley, hey, Rev, how you doing? Kavanaugh may have appeared to be an altar boy, but like many, especially white men in college and high-profile places, are predators like on the plantations. I love that one, on the plantations.
Left a really long comment.
Woo! Yeah, well, we keep going. Yeah. I know we get in. Some right-wing guy. Judith Thompson, Dr. Ford is credible equals Kavanaugh's a liar. Here. Judith, 1 in 4 survivors. I'm a survivor. Jonathan, morning, brother Earl. Fanon Hutchinson. What are you doing on there? How'd you get on there? Oh, he's in Detroit. Okay.
Yeah, I think that was it. There was a Cosby one.
Mike Harris, Abdul, listen, Shirley. Abdul Jones, Bill Cosby was so arrogant to think he could still get away with the things he did 40 years ago. You're right. History caught up with him. It usually does. Okay. Lisa, thank you. Empress is watching. Bring it on.
I think that was it, though. For the comments.
What? Did you see that? Move. Barbara Bramwell is watching. I like that. Fanon, what did you keep popping up? You get on.
Ask you a question.
Cousin. Hey, cuz, how you doing? Rose Almight Hutchinson. Good morning, cuz. Good morning to you. Richard D. McFalls. How was that? Oh, Raekwon. Oh, we loved it. Brought the house down. We had a great mezzo-soprano, an African-American woman that was at Disney Hall last Sunday. You can't go wrong with the Mozart Raekwon. Daryl Cobbs. Anybody else?
I think that was it. Somebody say.
Wanda Saunders. Good morning. Okay. All right, so you know the deal. Here's what I'd like you to do. Here's your assignment for today. This is on our Facebook live stream, the Hutchinson Facebook page. It will be up in just a few seconds. What I'd like you to do is let other people know about it, share it, comment on it, put your observations, your quips on there, criticisms, your thoughts, anything. Share it with other people. Encourage them to post on there too. Move it around. Spread it around. Don't be greedy. Spread the wealth around. By the way, when I say wealth of information, wealth of knowledge, that's coming not from EOH, me, it's coming from you. Keep that in mind. Oh, Nikki Lee. I haven't seen Nikki in a month of Sundays. How you doing from good old Virginia, Nikki Lee? Always a pleasure. We have to reconnect on a couple of other things, Nikki. We're doing a lot of stuff on our ebooks now. And by the way, you were the ones that set me off on that. You were the one that pointed me on the way on how to do that and market it and put it up there and all that. My hat's off to you. You did a great job on that. I owe a debt of gratitude to for that. All right, Fano. Can we put the wraps on it? Can we sign off? Can we shut down? I want to thank everybody. And Oliver, did you want to say hi? Bye. Hi and goodbye.
Oh, sorry about that. How you doing, people? I'm Oliver. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next week.
Straight to the point. Producer for the Hutchinson Report. All right, so we'll post that on our Facebook live stream. It'll be there. Keep posting. Put your observations on. Talk to each other. We like that. We got social media now. I mean, we don't need CNN. We don't need MSNBC. We don't need NBC, ABC, CBS. We got our own media. Let's use it. Till next week.